So far in this series, we've been building a single idea from multiple angles. First, we defined ownership in the cloud. Then we examined provider ownership. Then we looked at user ownership. Now we reach the most important realization. In cloud computing, ownership is shared, not vaguely, not informally, but deliberately, structurally, and precisely. This idea is known as shared ownership, and it explains almost every success and almost every failure in the cloud. Shared ownership means this: no meaningful cloud system is owned entirely by one side. The provider and the user each own different parts of the same system. And the system only works if both sides fulfill their responsibilities. Let's start by clearing up a common misunderstanding. Shared ownership does not mean shared blame, shared confusion, or shared responsibility for everything. In fact, it means the opposite. Shared ownership exists because responsibility is divided. Each side owns specific layers, and those layers do not overlap. The boundary matters. Think of a bridge. The city owns the structure. Engineers design it. Maintenance crews inspect it. But drivers own how they use it. If a structural beam fails, that's not the driver's fault. If someone drives recklessly, that's not the city's fault. The bridge only works because ownership is clear. Cloud systems are the same. In shared ownership, the provider owns physical infrastructure, hardware lifecycle, core networking, base service availability. The user owns configuration, identity and access, data and application behavior. Both are necessary. Neither is sufficient alone. This is why cloud systems behave differently from traditional systems. In on-premises environments, ownership was centralized. One team owned almost everything. In the cloud, ownership is distributed by design. This distribution enables scale, but demands clarity. Now here's where things get interesting. Shared ownership introduces dependency. The user depends on the provider to deliver reliable infrastructure. The provider depends on the user to use the system as designed. When both sides align, the system feels powerful and flexible. When they don't, the system feels fragile and confusing. Let's look at a concrete example. Consider a managed database service. The provider owns the database engine, patching, backups at the infrastructure level, failover mechanisms. The user owns schema design, query patterns, access permissions, data correctness. If performance degrades, where do you look? The answer depends on ownership. Shared ownership forces you to ask the right question first. Another example: security. Cloud security is often misunderstood because people assume it is either fully provider-owned or fully user-owned. It is neither. The provider secures the data center, the hardware, the underlying platform. The user secures access policies, encryption usage, exposure of services. A breach doesn't automatically mean one side failed completely. It means the boundary was misunderstood. This is why shared ownership requires shared understanding, but not shared control. You don't need access to the provider's data center to design secure systems. You need clarity about what you control and what you don't. Shared ownership also explains why cloud documentation matters so much. Providers document their guarantees: uptime, durability, service scope. Not as marketing, but as ownership declarations. When a provider says, "We manage this layer," they are stating ownership. When they say, "You are responsible for this," they are drawing the boundary. Reading cloud docs is not learning AP is. It's learning ownership contracts. This also explains cloud failures that seem paradoxical. The infrastructure is healthy. The service is running, but the system is broken. That usually means provider ownership is intact, but user ownership failed, or the reverse. Shared ownership makes failures asymmetric. Understanding which side owns what is how you debug effectively. Let's step back. Why design the cloud this way at all? Because shared ownership scales better than total ownership. Providers specialize in infrastructure. Users specialize in business logic. Each side focuses on what they do best. This division of labor is the economic engine of the cloud. But division of labor only works with clear contracts. Shared ownership is not trust-based. It is definition-based. The cloud works because ownership is explicit. So here is the core idea. Shared ownership is not a compromise. It is an optimization. It reduces cognitive load, accelerates development, and enables global scale. But only for those who understand where the lines are drawn. Let's summarize. In cloud computing, ownership is layered. Responsibility follows ownership. Systems succeed or fail at the boundary. Provider ownership and user ownership meet in shared systems. And mastering the cloud means mastering that interface.